Hi everybody, it's Erin Scott here. So it is Wednesday, July 31st, 2019. I'm recording this in the afternoon. It's 4:06 p.m. And in about 7 hours time, we're going to be having our essentially the new moon that's beginning our August time frame. So I thought that I would record this for you. I was writing up my newsletter for the month of August, and I thought that it would be beneficial and connective to actually do an audio visual quick video for you, talking, number one, a little bit, not too much, but a little bit about this particular new moon. It is a powerful new moon, and I want to talk to you too about this date in August, which is going to be significant. And this is happening before our full moon in Leo that's coming up August 15th. So let's start by talking about the month ahead, actually. So before I talk about today's new moon, let me give you a couple of dates. And this is going to be written out in your newsletter. But today, the 31st, Wednesday, we have this blue moon, a second new moon in the calendar month of July. This is our Leo new moon, Sun-Moon conjunction in the sign of Leo, of course, which is a fire sign ruled by the sun, which we'll talk about. It's happening at 8 degrees 36 minutes, okay? Also today, correlated with the Leo new moon, Mercury stations direct after 3 weeks retrograde, and it's stationing direct at 23 degrees 58 minutes Cancer. Okay, so what we have coming up in the month of August are a couple of things. One is what we're going to talk about here on this right hand chart, which is this August 12th date. There are two significant events happening on August 12th. One, Jupiter stations direct after several months in a retrograde motion. It's happening at 14 degrees 30 minutes Sagittarius. So we'll talk about that. But on that same day, August 12th, we also have Uranus stationing retrograde at 6 degrees 36 minutes Taurus. So this is two powerhouse planets changing direction, seemingly. This is an optical illusion. But our experience of the planetary movement appears to change from retrograde to direct, and change from retrograde, and change from direct to retrograde. So we essentially have two planets changing their direction, which is going to, as it always does, directly impact the energetic theme that's playing out for the collective, but also for us as individuals. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. Then on the 15th of this month, we have the full moon in Aquarius happening at 22 degrees 24 minutes Aquarius, and that's happening at 8:29 a.m. Eastern Time. Then on the 30th of August, we have our new moon in Virgo happening at 6 degrees 46 minutes Virgo, and it's happening at 6 a.m. 37 minutes Eastern Time, so 6:37 a.m. Eastern. All right, lovelies, so let's take a look quickly at this. Now, this particular new moon is powerful, number one, because it's happening alongside Mercury stationing direct. So what does that mean? Well, number one, when the sun and moon are conjunct, naturally we're talking about an alignment of outer and inner, an alignment of inner and outer. And naturally, too, we are connecting up to birth a new cycle. The moon at the point of the sun is a natural seeding time. Okay? So that being said, at this time of this year, we're talking about a new moon happening in the sign of Leo. We won't have this again until next summer, right? And it's significant because this is a new seeding time with regards to the qualities that are associated with, aligned with, the sign of Leo, ruled by the sun. So this is about emanation. This is about confidence, creativity, and our individuated expression. That's what Leo is about. So this particular night, what we're going to have here in a few hours, is a point which can be well participated with and utilized in order to visualize and get clear on what it is you, number one, want for yourself, but importantly, number two, what is the creative impulse within you? What is the driver? What's the fire? What's the juice? What's the bliss? What's the fun? What's the joy? What is the creative expression within you that has been whispering to you or knocking on your door? This is a time to really tap into that, everyone. This particular evening, but this week in general, okay? Certainly for the next 24 hours. This is a time to really take the time, create the time to contemplate, get still, meditate, connect in with your deeper creative flow, and to unleash it. Now, the other reason why this is important is it's happening alongside, as I said, Mercury stationing direct. So Mercury going direct on the same day as this new seeding point of our creativity is pretty important. Why? Because Mercury has been going retrograde in Leo and in Cancer. Cancer, where the North Node is transiting, has been a journey. This Mercury retrograde in Cancer has been a journey naturally of connecting to many things. One, issues of mother, parents, nurturance. It's also been a time for us to reflect and connect in on issues of compassion, empathy, intuitive wisdom, emotional guidance system. How is it that we honor or not our emotional self? How is it that we trust our emotions or our emotional guidance system? How is it that we judge it, right? And this is all coming from the dynamic of the South Node conjunct Saturn up here in Capricorn. This is a lot of rigidity and dogma up here. So the point is that this Mercury retrograde and stationing direct very close to where the North Node or the mastery arc is for each of us is important, because this is a matter of connecting in our mind, the way we think, the way we perceive, and how we communicate. How we communicate in a way that's compassionate, connected, emotionally present, emotionally mature. So our mind is wanting us, has been naturally in a phase of having us reflect upon nurturance, compassion, trusting and honoring our natural emotional guidance system and our naturally imbued intuitive knowing. That all being said, this creative impetus point of the Sun and Moon conjunct in Leo, alongside this point, stationing direct in Cancer, is aligning these two themes. We have been reflecting on the need to be more compassionate and connected and emotionally present and emotionally mature, and issues with family and home and the feminine are all up for our recalibration and discernment, everybody. So the point is that this new seeding point of creative self, of you as a creative participant on this planet, is meeting up with new mind, new discernment, and new connection to your emotionality and to what feels right, to what feels good, to what feels connected, versus South Node Saturn up here in Capricorn, opposite, which feels more reduced, more segmented, more partitioned. This is what needs to be released. This is the rigidity and dogma that needs to be released at this time. So that all being said, this new creative, confident, playful self is asking to be born alongside a more compassionate mind, a more compassionate set of communications. Very powerful. In addition to that, this particular Sun-Moon conjunction is happening conjunct Venus at 5 degrees Leo. So these are connected. Venus represents the function of your value system. It is the function of love and beauty and aesthetics and artistic endeavors, creativity as well. This is also money and abundance and comforts. So the issue of the beauty of creativity and that perhaps bringing in a monetary benefit to you is a narrative that's kind of linked in here, okay? So this particular new moon is inherently powerful, all right? Now, in addition to that, on the eastern side of the U.S., we also have this interesting 11:11 point. So the time at which the new moon is happening is at 11:11 p.m. Eastern time. Now, this is not going to be the same for everybody, of course, but it's interesting because globally, we're going to have these different times activated. And this 11:11, because the eastern U.S. and this particular time zone on the planet is part of the whole, we're all being impacted by the 11:11, okay? Also, in this particular chart, everybody, we have a 22-degree ascendant in Aries. This is about stepping up as a teacher, stepping up as, to step up into your growth edge, to bring information and education forward in a way that is part of your identity and part of what you're here to do. And here we have the descendant at 22 degrees, Libra. Right? So the ascendant is really in the first house in the natural zodiac wheel of Aries. Here we have the descendant in the natural kind of 7th house sign of Libra. There's an alignment here, in other words. And 22 and 22 are these master numbers that indicate stepping up to the plate. Stepping up to the plate. Okay? Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to bring forward in this particular video. I went into more detail with my members, but let's see if there's anything else here. Well, there is something else here, actually. If you look here, you're going to see Varuna. Varuna is an asteroid, okay, and you're going to see it at 2 degrees. So Varuna at 2 degrees Leo, Venus at 5 degrees Leo, and the sun and the moon at 8 degrees Leo, these are all conjunct. These are conjunct. And Varuna is the function of where we feel powerful inherently, where we access us as a fractal of God. Okay? This is the Hindu god Varuna. And there is a non-ego element to the Varuna placement. Certainly Varuna in Leo, especially at an early degree, can indicate arrogance and overconfidence, but that's actually not the energy of Varuna inherently. Varuna does indicate where we naturally kind of access a deep well of inherent power, okay? One that is true and rooted. So the fact is that Varuna, Venus, Sun, and Moon in Leo, this is a new sense of our own power, a new sense of our own creative abilities, skill sets, and what we're here to bring in order to benefit the greater collective. And indeed, if we look at this little stellium here in the early degrees of Leo, we have a connection up here to this 1 degree Ceres point, 1 degree Sag, and then we have a connection over here to a 5 degree Chiron, which is at an exact trine to Venus. Okay, so this grand fire trine, everybody, is talking about new creative emergence connected to you, Aries, as teacher healer, Chiron, connected to reaping what you sow and harvesting as teacher, as educator, as expansive force with regards to the metaphysical aspects of reality. That's what this is linking with this grand trine. Income or reaping what you sow, some sort of a harvest as you expand others, as you help to expand others, perhaps as you help to expand others through their psyche, through their psychology, through the deeper aspects of mind. And it's connected to the deeper spiritual function of who you are, Aries, as a profound teacher and a healer. So pay attention to tonight, tomorrow, this week. Take time to listen to yourself, to journal, to attend, to get out in nature, to really connect everybody. Now there's more to say here, but I think I'll end it there. I guess the one thing that we'll just take a quick peek at before we go over to this chart is that in this particular new moon chart, we have Uranus at 6 degrees Taurus in the first house of self. And of course, this is talking about kind of unleashing the genius of you, unleashing the genius of the individual. So that's also activated here, all right? Now, let's go over to the 12th of August. Again, Jupiter goes direct, Jupiter goes direct on the 12th of August, and simultaneously, amazingly, Uranus goes retrograde. And it will be retrograde until the 11th/12th of January 2020. This is the same time that Saturn and Pluto will become conjunct at 22 degrees Capricorn. So let me repeat that. The same time that Saturn and Pluto are conjuncted at the 12th of January 2020 is essentially the date. It looks to happen the day before, but we're looking at really around the exact same time frame is when Uranus will station direct at 2 degrees 39 minutes Taurus. Okay, so I want you to drink that in, because that's a very, very significant time frame, which I will talk about more. And a lot of you are already somewhat familiar with the dynamics of that portal of shift, but I will definitely be talking about it much more. So that all being said, what I want to say about this point in time, post eclipses of July 2019, is that we have this mid-August point where we have this kind of dynamical shift in energetic movement. So, for example, Jupiter has been going retrograde for many months. On this date in August 12th, 2019, it'll go direct. So what does that mean? Well, this expansive energy of Jupiter, this function of Jupiter that represents our belief systems, our paradigms, what we believe to be truth, what we believe to be reality, okay? This has all been on an internal processing trajectory over the last many months. So there's been a lot of, let's say, rethinking of belief systems, rethinking about what we thought was truth. It's an internal processing that's been happening with regards to teachers, teachings, education, gurus, paradigms, belief systems, and also cultures, peoples from different peoples from different places on the planet, people that represent different demographics, how we process that information, what it means, what we believe about the collective global family, etc. So all of these things have been this kind of deep internal structural, like paradigm of belief system changing over the last many months. Well, then in coming, mid-August, we're going to have this direct movement start to propel forward. Okay, at least it's going to station direct here. It's going to take a little while to get to the place beyond the shadow period. However, there is going to be forward momentum. And what that means is that things that have been being discerned in your mind, in your belief system, things that have been really triggering you, perhaps, or really highlighting certain areas of your belief system over the last many months, there's going to be some internalized pressure that gets relieved come mid-August, and there's going to be more expression of the teachings and the learnings that you've gleaned, things that you've learned, experiences that you've assimilated over the last many months. There will now be an expression happening, a sharing of information, new teachings. You might seek teachers, you might seek more information, more gleaning, because you've done your recalibration inside and now you're going to seek it again outside, or you're going to step out and teach, okay? Now, simultaneous with this outward movement of what the belief systems and the structures of your mental constructs have been shifted, all of these things that have been shifting internally now being expressed, as that begins to happen, there's also this retrograded Uranus in Taurus. So what does this indicate? Well, Uranus going retrograde, first of all, Uranus is a multifunction planet, but it certainly indicates, it certainly has a functionality of electric, high frequency activation and movement. There's shift and change that occurs inherently with this very electrified energy of Uranus. This energy seeks, it holds a trauma signature, but it seeks freedom from that trauma signature. And one thing that I'm going to say to you is this. I do believe that with this Uranus going retrograde from 6 degrees to 2 degrees over the rest of 2019, we are physically, each of us physically, are going to be, let's say, newly confronted with having to contend with any misalignments physically that we have not attended to. So I don't say this to bring up any fear. There's no fear to be had here. But what I will tell you is this. Your physical body is going to be, let's say, internally pressurized with this retrograde process to align, to upgrade its frequency. I'm going to repeat that. In the next many months, for the rest of 2019, it is important that you listen to your physical body, that you start to have a more intimate relationship and connected relationship with your physical body, because there is a recalibration deeply, internally, and cellularly, structurally, physically, that's happening at this time frame. Now, in addition to that, there will also be a deep recalibration happening in the background of the collective, starting to happen financially. So there's going to be things happening in the background. Number one, with regards to 5G, which for all of you listening to my voice now who are not currently familiar with 5G, I want you to learn about it fast. It's important that you understand about 5G. This is a toxic system that is being developed and pushed to be launched soon, shortly, immediately, eminently. Corporations and governments are pushing to get 5G put out there globally. And it's urgent. It's of a critical nature for people, individuals, to learn about it. Learn about it. And talk to your local counties, jurisdictions, your state, your community, right? So 5G, things happening in the background physically and technologically that impact the physical reality that we know. Okay? Now, another thing that's going to be activated is finances, like the financial system. So in the background with Uranus retrograde, the financial system, there's going to be, let's say, more progress made or more movements, new iterations perhaps of digital currency that's going to be getting worked on in the background, whatnot. So it's important to just understand that there is a deep internal structural and physical, as well as technological, food-based, health-based, body-based process that's happening. Now, the other thing that's happening here is, because Uranus is in Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, there is this internalized creative manifestation that is going to be emerging over the next many months, and starting mid-August of 2019, there is going to be a surge of creative energy, creative ideas, innovations, innovations with regards to food systems, innovations when it comes to creative solutions to finances, creative solutions to health issues, creative solutions to agriculture, various things, which I want to give it more thought, because there's many ways by which this can manifest itself. But for you, for those of you listening to this, I am speaking really directly to you and for your growth and evolutionary process. And what I will say is, please listen and attend and mature and up-level the frequency of your physical body. So for any of you kind of not really attending to the intuitions that you've been getting about a need for a change in diet, a need for more movement in the body, I will tell you there's going to be more pressure happening within the body system during this time frame. The other thing that we'll see, of course, is that Uranus retrograde in Taurus might activate more internalized shifts and changes for the planet. So perhaps earthquakes, more earthquakes might be emerging in the coming months. A deep, embodied kind of structural gurgling, shifting, changing might be unfolding. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But certainly there, as this moves direct, this is moving retrograde. As the mind starts to express its teachings and its assimilated learnings to people, so too is the inner structure of the human wanting to, naturally having to, being forced and obligated to up-level, to raise its frequency, to shift, to change. Okay, so pay attention to this date. Now, I will have another little video coming out mid-month, and we'll talk a little bit more about this chart and the dynamics of it. And we will talk, and we can see too, can I just say, at the same day that Jupiter moves direct and Uranus moves retrograde, look at where the moon is. Look at where the moon is. The moon will be in Capricorn, conjunct Pluto, South Node, Saturn. This is massive, absolutely massive. Why? Because there's a correlation between the forward movement of the teacher guru and the retrograded movement of internal creative process and internal structural shift, alongside this kind of Saturnian moon. Responsible, accountable emotions over the course of this recalibration of old toxic patterns and the transformation at hand for these systems of laws, governments, politics, societal systems, and issues for the individual, you, about your career, your work in the world, quite seriously. And it's interesting too, because I just decided to pull this chart up. I have another offering that you'll see in the newsletter with regards to career alignment. So there's going to be a course that I'm opening up. I still have to select the dates actually. But for those interested, there will be a posting in the newsletter that you'll be able to read about this upcoming live stream interactive career alignment course, right? So it's interesting here, because What does our career mean to us at this time of outer shift here and internalized shift here, right? Frequency up leveling with regards to our physicality. At the same time, the mind and the expansion of the mind is calling to be expressed. So it's a very, very interesting time. It's going to be a dynamical month, and we're starting it, of course, with this 11/11 new moon in Leo. Creative expression calls, everybody. So I send you all so much love for this month ahead, and if you have any questions, you can be in contact. Much love. Bye-bye.